5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
And it's live.
This is Leicester Till I Die TV. Watch and subscribe on YouTube and listen on your podcast platform.
Wait. Don't go. I'm here. There I am. Yes, I was off trying to put my lights on. I have to remember now that sun's setting at about 20 to 7, I think it is tonight. So we'd all be in the dark. How are you doing? Swansea 1, Leicester 3. Hang on, but we're rubbish, aren't we? That's all I'm saying. Welcome along to the review show. This is Leicester Till I Die TV. Thank you for joining us. If you're joining us live, do get your comments in. They will come up in the bottom right-hand corner as you add them, so do please keep them clean. And if you're watching on catch-up, add your comments in below. Always happy to read them. And if you're listening via your favourite podcast platform, which a lot of you do, why, when you can look at this beautiful specimen of a human being? I get it. But thank you for lending me your ears. Look, I tell you what we're going to do. We're going to start with the highlights. I mean, I think it's worth watching. A couple of good goals in there. Here we go.
The area, Swansea clear it away. Leicester will try again. Winks knocks it out to the left-hand side. James cutting in field. Onto his right boot. Oh, it's a brilliant goal! An outstanding goal from Jordan James, curling it in from the left corner of the penalty area. And Leicester City are in front in South Wales with a quite sumptuous strike. Swansea 0, Leicester 1.
Wow, just mentioned the man of the moment.
Eder. Only just on as a substitute. Standing straight behind this ball, will approach it with about a 6-pace run-up. Hits it right-footed. Goalkeeper goes the wrong way. And Swansea are level here in South Wales. A highly debatable penalty, but Adam Eder has scored it. And it is Swansea 1, Leicester 1. Ramsey works it out to James on that far side. Forward now to Fatawu. James was caught. Play continues. Fatawu still going. Left foot. Shoots. Brilliant! What a goal that is! That's an outstanding goal. The second superb goal of the afternoon from Leicester City. And this time it is Abdul Fatawu. A left-footed stunner. The Foxes are back in front. Swansea 1, Leicester City 2.
Oh, absolute wonder strike from Abdul Fatawu. One that's almost become a signature for him. Cutting inside, you know the score.
Free kick then will be taken, left-footed by Thomas into the penalty area. Swansea get it away. Ramsey almost got it there. The header goes in from Vestergaard. As the ball was turned back into the penalty area, Yannick Vestergaard, 6 yards out from goal, had a defender between him and goal. It was an instinctive, guided, flicked header with the side of his head, and Leicester City have a third goal. Yannick Vestergaard with it, and with that third goal, they may well have secured all 3 points. Swansea 1, Leicester 3.
Yeah, it was, and 4 years and about 5 weeks since he joined us, and he's finally scored a goal with his head. We'll see what the guys are going to say about it. As usual, I'm joined by Pinky and Perky. We've got Brad, we've got Steve. Let's get them in and let's do the review. Gentlemen, good evening.
Good evening, sir.
Hello.
How are we feeling?
Well, a lot more cheerful going into this international break. A little bit like last time, wasn't it? A second international break's killed the mood, but glad to have the win.
Yeah, I can't complain. It was a long day. I'm not going to lie. It was a very long day, but luckily, I arrived with plenty of time, unlike some fans that got delayed on the M4. I don't know if you guys know this or not, but a couple of the coaches got stuck in traffic, which meant that when they got past the traffic, the driver had to pull over for their legal 45-minute break, which means they only got there at half time. So they missed the entirety of the first half. So luckily, I drove down myself and it was okay.
That's disgusting.
So just say that. So they didn't get there till half time.
Yeah, they arrived about sort of 5 minutes before the second half kicked off.
Hell.
Yeah, but I understand. I don't understand why they didn't have a second driver to take over the driving duties, because even from Leicester, it's like 3 hours, 3.5 hours or so.
That's poor organisation by the club.
So luckily, I arrived with plenty of time.
I've got to say, it reminds me many years ago. It was the year we got promoted from the Championship under Pearson, and I was going back to Burnley to for the weekend, because I've lived in Burnley for 20 odd years, and I decided to go by coach, and then I didn't have to worry about the driving, etc. And I went to London, swapped over at London, got on the coach from London to Burnley, and we hit traffic, and the driver ran out of time, and we were waiting at some service station for about 2 hours. A friend of mine, Donna, had got me a huge big bottle of cider, put it in an ice bucket for me, which the hotel had put in the room, and it was just, when I got there, a bottle of cider and a pail of water. So I do feel the pain. Look, before we start, guys, I just want to touch on this, because for me, and I know some people weren't overly keen on him, but I'm always grateful for what he did to the club, for the club. Milan Mandrić passed away over the weekend, and it's quite poignant, Brad, that our next match is actually at home to Portsmouth. Yeah,
it is kind of poignant, because it's both sets of fans that have the biggest relationship with Milan. It's sad news, and at the time there were certain things he did, certain managerial merry-go-rounds. We all remember the 6 managers in a season we had that we weren't enamoured with. But let's face it, Chris saved the club. I know the players initially stopped us going into bankruptcy, but that was like a plaster over a plug hole. It was only going to hold for so long. We needed financial stability, and Milan brought that to the club. And didn't run at the first sign of failure, Chris. When we entered League One, he stuck around, invested, and then passed us on to the owners we have now. He made sure we had good owners to take forward. So it's going to be a sad day, and one that I imagine all corners of the ground will be given an applause of life, if you will, as they tend to do these days.
I mean, so I don't know if you can. I don't know if you can get it. I've just sent you a picture, Chris, of me from 17 years ago with Milan. It's the first time I met him, and he was genuinely one of the nicest people I've met. Like, he came over to all the fans, said hello, and stuck around for photos. We're getting a photo with a chairman, to be honest. That was a bit strange. You're waiting for all the players, and the chairman comes out first, so it is what it is. But I feel like, he did find the best owners possible. He was the one that started the dream in regards to finding the ownership that pushed us onto where we are. And let's not forget that he was the one that appointed Nigel Pearson, who started all of this. So it is a sad story that he's passed away. But he's lived a long and healthy life. So. Against Portsmouth, it'd be nice. It's a shame it's a night game, because I think the attendance will probably be slightly less than what it would have been if it was a 3 p.m. kickoff. But I'm sure we'll get a massive round of applause.
I hope so. I'm just trying to upload the picture now. I mean, Brad, like I said, some people sort of didn't, some fans didn't take to him, but yes, he got things wrong, and he came in, and we went down to League One. He appointed Ollie, who I honestly think was just happened to be possibly the right manager, but at the wrong time. I don't think anybody would have kept us afloat. But obviously when you got us relegated, you've got to go. And of course, there was always the debacle with Martin Allen and
Darren Mixon.
Yeah. But like you say, he saved the club, didn't he?
Yeah, exactly that, Chris. And I think the main trouble that some fans had was he came with the preconception that he'd done some dodgy dealings on the side. There was that misconception with him. But at the end of the day, like you said, Chris, he didn't do anything untoward towards the club. He didn't leave us in a rotten state. And that one season was soon forgotten. Like Steve said, he brought in 17 years ago. You sure it's not 37 years ago? You got fucking hair there, mate.
Hang on, I'm only 35.
Yeah, you sure? Wow.
I'm going to say, just a sidetrack, Brad. Sorry, every time I do this show, I actually meant to save that picture to bring up to embarrass Steve. And now
I will say, and everyone else in my life would agree, I've had a glow up compared to then. Like, that hair was outrageous. The beard is the most. If I had a beard with that hair, okay, but oh god, no.
You look like you're about to enter like an 80s American rock band that sings in the garage. You really do. I like that.
Van Halen or Bon Jovi.
Yeah, you're halfway there. But no, I mean, it was a good time under Milan minus that one season because, like Steve said, he then proceeded to, he tried to get us out of the rut. And let's face it, Chris, it wasn't that one season. For 4 or 5 seasons, we were the Scottish side in the Championship because we had that many Scotsmen over there. It was an invasion. We had Craig Levine brought over Hearts and Motherwell to our team. So we were on that trapdoor for 4 or 5 seasons. And eventually, unless something drastic gets sorted, that trapdoor caves in, and it did. But what preceded and what he led us on to in safe hands is the real memory you have with Milan.
I mean, Steve, there's no guarantee of when you sell the club what's going to happen after you sold it. When he sold Portsmouth, he sold it to a kind of okay owner who's no dodgier than most of them. But the guy that he sold it to, and it ended up in the arms of an international arms dealer, allegedly. I don't think allegedly. I think it was proven. But that's not Milan's fault. Again, Milan, when he was at Portsmouth, led them to the FA Cup. He tried to save Sheffield Wednesday. And funny enough, he only just went back and looked at them a couple of months ago.
Yeah, well, I imagine with that, he probably knew that his health was declining, so probably stepped back because of that, because you don't really want to go through the process of buying a club, especially a basket case of Sheffield Wednesday, where you don't own the stadium, you don't own the training ground, because that's all part of the, and the owner wants so much money that he probably went, it's not worth it. But what he did at Pompey was fantastic. He had a long-standing relationship with Harry Redknapp and Nico Cranshaw, as we all know. And look, I know that a lot of Pompey fans were given a lot of sort of tributes, and I hope we do something on Saturday night. 2 weeks time or whenever it is.
Yeah.
Because he did a fantastic job for Leicester.
Have you touched your gaming button again?
No, am I going in and out?
You're going in and out again.
No, I haven't touched anything. Hang on, right. You're gonna have to. I'm going to carry on talking. You tell me how it sounds, okay? So, Is this quieter or louder? I don't understand.
That's softer.
What?
Okay.
Oh,
is this louder?
Yeah,
that's louder. Yeah.
Okay. And is it going up and down when I talk, or is it okay?
No.
It seems to be okay now. Yes.
Right. I'm basically going to talk like this the entire evening.
Do you know what? That's the most sense you've spoken since I've known you.
So yeah, I mean, it is sad to see anybody pass away, but I guess as anybody that reaches sort of the age of 85, which is above the national average for men in the UK or even all over the world, he's had a good innings. He's had a very coloured life, and he will be remembered, which is, I guess, what we all strive for at the end of the day. But on our deathbed, we all want to be remembered for something, and I haven't found that yet. I haven't found what I'm going to remember for. So stay tuned. But
we will. I mean, I'm going to say, like you got that picture. Tom was just saying. Then he chatted on the phone to him, and I've got. You can see the shirt in the top corner, the white one. That one. That's got Milan's signature on it. That was from, we met him at the game. They played Accrington, one of the few games that Martin Allen was actually in charge.
Who were they? Sorry. I had to get the rest.
We played Accrington, and he'd come up. I think he'd come up on the team coach because he'd bought the tickets up. Because those of us that bought the tickets late, we had to collect them at the ground. And he was signing, and like I say, he had time for all the managers, all the fans. Interestingly, at that particular game, and I may have told you this, Brad, but I don't think I've told Steve. Martin Allen was in charge, and the players had come out, because it was really old ground, Accrington, no cover or anything. And the players had come out and were warming up, and he was stood outside the changing room just watching them. And the team was announced, and my son was with me. And he said, "Oh, that's a bit of a strange team, Dad." He was probably about sort of 12, something like that. That's a bit of a strange team. I said, "Well, there's the manager. Go and ask him." He said, "I can't do that. I can't do that." I went, "Well, what's the worst he can do? He can just say go away." And he went over, Sean, and he was there for bloody ages. I'm stood on my own like a numpty. And then he came back and he told me literally the whole game plan that Martin Allen had talked through with this 4-year-old kid. And I thought, and since that, I know everything he left in bad circumstances, but for that, I would always admire the guy, that he'd actually got time to make a 12-year-old's night better. But look, I know, guys, you all want to sit there and peek at the beautiful Steve there. Was that 70s, by the way, Steve?
Sorry?
Was that 80s or
what was that picture?
Yeah.
No, it was 2007, 2008, I think.
We got no excuse then.
No. To answer Buzz's question, I shaved it off because long hair is a nightmare, and I honestly don't know how women do it. I hated it. Like, I grew it out, and then within about 6 months, I was like, I can't do this. And now I'm regretting it because I'm losing it. So, but I had the opportunity to keep it, and I thought, no, it's all right. But yeah, anyway.
Hey, like me, when I was 17, 18, my barber turned around to me and he said, "You'll never go bald, will you?" I knew it was.
Like 2 months ago, and the barber said to me, "You've got the prime head of hair for a transplant." And I was like, piss off, mate. I'm going to grow old disgracefully. I ain't going to Turkey to get my hair done. I'm happy. I'll shave it off. I don't care.
I used to work with somebody, Greg, lovely guy, very vain, and he had a hair transplant. And he came back. I mean, I won't tell you where they took it from, but he came back into work the same day, and he came back with like a blue hairnet on because he had to protect his head. Yeah, there's no way I'm going through that, I tell you. But anyway, welcome along to Look Good. Look Good and restyle yourself here. How are we doing?
Look Good, Leicester.
Yeah, exactly. Yes, I think Brad's gone off to shave his beard. But look, 1-3. We got a win. Are you still with us, Brad?
Yeah, I am. Sorry, I just didn't want to. I felt odd, so I thought if I put this bold circle on, I'll fit in with the boulders.
Now that bolt, that's got hair on.
Wow.
So I had one job, didn't I? I had one job. You need to make me a bold.
I'm not bold. I have hair. It just looks. The lighting isn't great for it, Brad. All right. I've tried my hardest.
You keep telling yourself that. It's okay, Steve. We believe you. No one else will, but we believe you.
My wife likes it. It's fine.
At all, Brad. Anyway, Steve, let me come to you because you're nice. Buzz said, I'm rocking the Ollie Skip haircut. Oh my goodness. Right, went down to Swansea. I'm sure, as you say, you drove down, well done, and got there on time. Did you go into this thinking we could end up with this sort of a result?
No, I thought we were going to draw, in all honesty. I said, and that was my prediction, it would be a 1-1 draw. So when they scored, I was like, fucking hell, here we go again. Driven all this way just to pick up the 5th draw in a row. That's wonderful. But they surprised me. I mean, it did help that we had 2 clearly world-class goals from Abdul and James. And then, Yannick sneaking in there. But actually, the overall play in the second half, once we scored that 3rd goal, they were sort of pressing a bit more. And I thought we could have sort of scored 4 or 5. Karan's had that opportunity. Fatu hit the bar from distance as well. So I didn't leave disappointed. I left very happy. But also, I just seen Coventry smash Sheffield Wednesday 5-0. And I'm thinking, oh, come on, lads, get some more goals. That'd be nice. But hey, it's a win. It was a decent performance. I think 70 minutes of the game we played pretty well. The first half, the last sort of 10 minutes, they pressed a lot more, and I feel like they found it out a little bit. And then second half, once they scored, we got back. I think it kicked the players up the arse again, and we controlled the game from there. So overall, very happy.
Brad, there was a lot of, I don't know, was there a lot of predictions for draws in the prediction league? I was tempted to go for a draw, and at 1-1 I thought, maybe I should have gone for that. At 2-1, I was getting my gun out ready to go and shoot Yannick because I predicted 2-1 and he had to go and ruin it. But we've waited a long time for a headed goal off the 7-foot defender, haven't we?
Yeah, we have. There was a fair few draws. I mean, I think the Wrexham fallout was so bad that a few people actually went for a Swansea win. And to be fair, when Swansea got the penalty on the 70th minute, never a penalty. I know we'll get into that a bit more. But you could see it coming, couldn't you? The signs were, like Steve said, goes, 20 minutes. It's either going to be Swansea going for it or 9-10 men behind the ball and we won't break them down and it'll end 1-1, or they'll do a Preston on us. And luckily for us, that wasn't the case. We looked a lot more up for it. We almost seemed energised by the wrongful decision and played really well. I mean, there was periods in that game where we actually played really, really well. I don't know how many they ended up with, but I know at one point, yet again, we'd restricted our opposition to like 2, maybe 3 shots on target, one of them being the penalty. So I think that's where the belief came from in the Marty way is, they've got back in it, but they're not going to cause any other troubles. Let's go for it. And it really worked.
Steve, I've just moved you around because that's the order that we started talking. Good goals are like buses. You can wait weeks and weeks for one, and then suddenly 2 come along at once. I'm going to ask you, and I'm going to ask you as well, Brad, so you'll be thinking about it. I'm going to ask you, Steve, which was the better goal?
Well, so I almost missed Abdul's because I was tweeting a negative tweet at the time. But I actually say JJ's because I wasn't expecting it. I thought he was just going to run down the wing, and then he cut inside, and then suddenly, out of nowhere, the net burst, and we all went a bit crazy around us. So I would say JJ's because we know with Abdul he can do that. That's something that he does. And I don't know how defenders haven't realised this now, that he's going to cut inside and have a shot. But for me, it was JJ's.
Yeah. Brad, would you agree with JJ's?
It's a tough one to call. I mean, Steve says how defenders...
That's why I asked you.
I know. Steve says, how haven't defenders figured it out? Well, as the great Maldini once said, it's easier to figure it out than it is to stop it. And yes, I am.
Have you by any chance got a Maldini autobiography, Brad?
No, I'm just going to keep using it now. It's my review show special.
Why you not change it to the great Samare?
Well, maybe in years to come, Steve. We hope we have time yet to that become a thing. I feel that that JJ's was slightly better, because even though, Fatawu's was crisping in the corner, he had it open up for him. He had the opportunity, the clarity to see the chance. I don't care that he's done it before. It's still a fantastic goal. JJ had to bend that in kind of halfway in. It wasn't top corner. It wasn't bottom corner. It was middle, far post, but it was halfway up it. And he had to put it out the reach of a trailing leg potentially, and out the reach of the goalkeeper. That ball had to get the right bend on it just to sneak in on the post. And that's why it's just that little bit more better than Fatou's goal for me.
I would agree with
Sorry? As the great man being.
No, I'd agree with you, because you knew, Fatou was going, when he makes that move, you know what's going to happen. One of three things. It'll be straight at the goalkeeper, Rose Ed, or top bins, and when it's top bins, it's brilliant. JJ's, like you say, I didn't see it because I was having streaming problems. So it went 1-0 and I hadn't even seen the goal till after.
Yeah. Am I the furthest one away from Swansea that saw the goal? In the stadium, you were probably closer to Swansea than me, and I saw it better than all.
The problem is, Chris got delayed on the highway network for his internet, so we had to have a 45-minute break, so we were only arrived at half-way.
Very true. Thank you, Steve. Thank you. I like you. But no, you weren't expecting that from JJ. He'd move over to the other side because he was on the left, and he had to get it through quite a few defenders. And normally that would have hit one of the defenders and rebounded out or something. So it was a brilliant goal. But Steve, I don't think we'd have been talking about either of these goals had Fatou's effort from just inside their half. Well, look, if you're playing crossbar challenge, what an effort it was. But, I mean, you couldn't... Oh, I mean, look, you were there. What was like the crowd's reaction when he did it, and then when he hit the bar?
To be honest, the guy next to me said, "Oh, don't shoot," and then as it sort of sailed over the keeper and then hit the bar, we all just went, "Ah!" So that was the reaction. We're all very surprised, and then obviously, Patson was unfortunate to put the ball over the bar with a rebound. But, I think that galvanized the fans, because I think when they scored, it tends to happen quite a lot with away games. So I'm going to burp. Oh, excuse me.
Bless you.
When the opposition team scores, we go quiet for a couple of minutes. And that, I think that was just after they scored that we hit the bars. Or was it? I can't quite remember exactly.
No, it was after Fatou's goal.
Okay, right, yeah. So, but it really energized the crowd again, from what I could tell. Like we were all screaming and shouting again. But it's those sort of moments that is the difference in this league. Like, to prove that he's a Premier League player, to think I'm going to have a shot from here, the confidence to do that after, I criticised him last week saying he wasn't great, and I actually thought he had a quite poor first half on Saturday as well. But he's proving me wrong, and I need to stop betting against Abdul, to be honest, because he's always going to prove me wrong. So fair play to him.
Betting against him and then let him prove you wrong.
But overall, we were very shocked that it hit the bar. So yeah,
I'm going to say, Brad. I mean, when in fairness to Daka, I think it was saved because I think he went for a corner.
It was going over anyway.
I don't know. The keeper gets a touch on it. That could be on the underside of the bar job. If he doesn't, it might still have missed. But Abdul.
He was there. In fairness, he was there to head it in last season. Probably got to their bloody net.
Yeah, I mean, Daka did all he could in that situation. And just to quickly go to back to JJ, you say we weren't expecting it. I've got a funny, suspicious feeling that we will see more of it from him, because he had got the goal against Wrexham. That I know that was a little bit more 1-2 football, but he maybe early days. You know what I say? Don't fall in love with a low knee. But I'm going to say a name in what he's given off vibes of. Again, not level before people go at me, but vibes of James Maddison. Likes a pot shot when he can't see a chance himself. He'll have a go himself. He seems to be in and around that area. seems to be eager to have a go from in and around the box if he can't find another option. I think this could become more of a battle of the JJ versus Fatu for edge of the box screamers. I'm just saying, he's had a few digs already, and you can't fall in love with Maloney.
I would pay that because it's €5 million, so it's just over £4 million to sign him for. Like, I would pay it now. Just get it done. Don't wait till the end of the season. Get it done now. Sign the player in January, and move on from there. Because I think that actually he's the sort of midfielder that we've been screaming out for a very long time since KDH left. Basically, he fits that box-to-box midfield perfectly.
I'm going to say to you, and I get where you're coming from, Brad, but for me, he's more like KDH than
I get that. Yeah, no, I get that. Yeah, in that sort of it's that sort of play.
He's not the engine. Like, you look at Maddison, and he's great in that cam, but engine-wise, he's not the best. But I saw JJ like sprint from almost the 18-yard box of our half to the other 18-yard box 3 or 4 times on Saturday, and I'm like, you won't get that, but you get that from KDH. And look, he's 21. If he carries on like this, if we sign him for £4 or £5 million or whatever it is, £4 million or whatever, in a couple of years' time, he's going to be worth £30 million to a Premier League club.
And of course, because it's an agreed price, they can't put it up.
Exactly.
Like you say, it is one of those Lookman moments, isn't it? It's like, just sign him up now. Don't mess about, But like I say, the good news is that because it's an agreed deal, we can't. Nobody can come in and pinch him. Look, we're only 2 games, but he looks like the start. For me, probably the signing of the whole championship this window.
I think that's a. If you look at the players that have come into the championship, I think he's doing well. I think he's got a little bit to go yet to be the signing of the transfer window so far, because he fits in that number 6-8 position, but he doesn't fit well in the cam sort of 10 position. So if and it's only the last sort of 2 or 3 games where he's dropped back into that position with Winks. If that partnership works, because it does work really well, then Chris, I think you're probably right. But I wouldn't give it to him just yet. I think that's jumping the gun slightly, but I can see where you're coming from. He's definitely our signing of the summer. I mean, it's not difficult. We only signed 5 players, 2 goals.
Well, that's why I didn't say that, because I thought, there's not a lot of competition there. I've got to say, Brad, what a lovely T-shirt. I've got exactly the same one.
Oh, well, just great fashion sense. I need to go and change my shirt now. It's great shirt, isn't it, Chris? Yeah. Thanks for that.
Right, Brad, look, there's the starting lineup with all the information. Is this, and we're going to go into this in more detail tomorrow, probably on the forum show, but is this the closest thing we've got to a decent starting lineup? But let's leave, Daka and Reed out of it at the moment. But the rest of the team, is that as good as it gets for us?
You say leave Daka out of it. Right now, from what I've seen of Carranza and Ayew on the pitch, I'd be keeping Daka in that role right now.
Well, then, yeah.
Kova Reed is the obvious one, and Fairs we'll leave him out of it. It's 90% of the way there. I'd still advocate for Ecole over Faze, because whilst I don't agree with the penalty that was given, you can see with him sliding in and the flailing leg why a referee might give it. It was weird because the Swansea players didn't appeal about it until their fans started making a rule. They were asking for a corner, so I don't know what prompted him to give it, but that's a personal preference, I suppose. I like Faze. I'm trying to think maybe two steps ahead, thinking maybe next season and going forward with his contract situation compared to Cole's. But yeah, it's all but there, and this obviously does happen. When we get to that 7, 8, 9, 10 game mark, you kind of have a very settled 11. So for me, that's pretty much it.
I think it is quite settled, Steve, to say that how late, Cifuentes came in. Would you agree about Daka? Would you leave him in as you're starting at the moment?
I would actually, because we saw against Wrexham and against Swansea that he's got pace. I mean, okay, I really think that he's struggling with confidence. If he scores a goal off his arse, we might see a Daka, that if he scores like in 2 games in a row, that confidence he's going to have from that will kick him. And he'll push on from there. I actually think that he is our better striker option. And I actually said that, Kranz had that opportunity in the second half where he went for on goal and he took too long to shoot. I actually think if that was Patson, because he doesn't really think, he probably would have scored that. But I think overall, yeah, you're right. You can probably pick that starting 10 and then maybe drop Reed out for Ramsey. I don't mind Reed. I think he played okay the last couple of games. But Ramsey adds that extra energy in the attacking midfield role.
I think if Daka, and we might as well talk about it as you brought it up, if Daka had missed that shot that Carranza had missed, he'd have been hung, drawn and quartered by the Leicester fans.
Exactly. Yeah. And there are times on Saturday where he tried to do the Ayew role of holding up the ball and just it bounced off him and he fell over and you're like, come on, pal. But he makes those runs that you don't get from Ayew or at the moment Carranza. You can play the ball on the halfway line over the defense's head and he will most likely get there because he's one of the quickest players in the squad. So I keep him in just for that threat because it opens up the midfield and the wings a bit more, having a striker that can run in behind. So I'll carry on with Daka. I know he's away with Zambia now, isn't he? So he might get a couple on international duty and come back a lot more confident. I just think he needs that goal. Once that goal comes, we might see a completely different Daka.
I think for me, we have seen that goal, over the last couple of seasons, but the next game he's not started.
Yeah, needs that. Steve,
was it Villa he scored against? West Ham. I know it was a claret and blue. Scored that goal against West Ham and then was dropped to the bench. Yeah. And you think, well, the guy's never going to get any confidence.
Yeah. I have a genuine question for you both on Daka. Do you think Marty Cifuentes is the first manager that's looked at what he's got available to him, i.e. his pace, his ability to stretch the back line, and he's gone, I can't play 2 strikers because I've got too many midfielders and I want to get them all, kind of the way we are and the way we're situated, we have to play with one up front, and he's not a winger. Do I use him as a false 9, sort of Okazaki without the Vardy in front of him sort of thing, where he goes, you run cause a nuisance, mate, and you'll get an opportunity to stick one in every 4 games because you'll keep distracting their defence and pulling it away for Fatawu, for Monga, for Mavadidi, for the rest of them. And every so often, you'll get given an opportunity to score a goal. Do you reckon that's what Marty's kind of using him as?
Possibly, because he does press a lot more than Ayew does. And, he does run around like a headless chicken at times. But also, so when they've got the ball, he presses quite well. But when we've got the ball, he's always looking to make that extra run in behind the defence. And he didn't come off a couple of times where he had the opportunity, but we didn't pass him the ball, but we played out wide itself. And I think, you're right. Like if he makes that run, the centre backs are then turning away from the ball and tracking Daka, so it does leave a lot more space. Yeah. So I think we'll probably see that whoever plays in that 10 role scores a lot more goals this season because they'll have more of an open sort of setting in front of them.
Yeah, because I feel like every so often we just pinged it over to them, trying to catch them out to give Daka something to run on to.
Are we saying that Fatou's crossbar challenge effort was actually a pass to Daka?
Oh, yeah. Bigger picture, guys.
No, I agree with you. And look, and I know I keep coming back to this, but, Vestergaard and Enzo is the example. A manager comes in, sees a player that's been absolutely, not been used to the best of his abilities, and suddenly turns him round. And, when Dean Smith came in and John Terry, and they looked at Soyuncu and they brought him back, sometimes you need a fresh pair of eyes. And I know you need your striker to be scoring goals. That's what you're paying him for. But as long as there's a team with scoring goals, I don't care who's doing it. You know what I mean? It could be Salarchik from the penalty, but whatever. As long as we're scoring goals, and he does create, because of his speed, he does slows down, like you say, Steve, and he does create a lot of confusion in there as well. That Ayew doesn't. I mean, Brad, look, we'll come back to Reed now. He had a very good game, I thought, against Wrexham. Last weekend, I wasn't as impressed with him. I'm not going to lie. I didn't think he had that good a game, and he did obviously come off at half time. I think we all kind of knew that. I think he'd have actually scored a hat trick to have kept Ramsey off from coming in. But that is probably going to be Ramsey's role, isn't it? He's probably going to be, our number 10.
Yeah, it probably is. He probably, to be fair to Bobby, these are the opportunities you're going to have to take. When Ramsey goes and gets sent off after 20 minutes, you've got 3 games through to kind of get yourself in the team and get a look in. And the Wrexham game, he was really good. Swansea played a different style to Wrexham. It didn't really suit him. I kind of felt that we passed around him a little bit because we were so able to advance it. And again, the Daka pressing, the high line from the team, we forced Swansea into a lot more mistakes. Whereas against Wrexham, it was a bit more middle of the park where we had to win the ball back. And that's where Bobby came into his own sort of thing. So it's not like he had a bad game. He was always going to come off, like you said, Chris, even if he even if he scored a hat trick, he was always going to come off for Ramsey anyway, because this was the last game before this stupid paint drying international break came along and ruined football for everybody. That he was going to get a chance to run out and sort of redeem himself a little bit, extra mark on his score sheet for staying on the pitch. But yeah, I still think we'll utilise him, Chris, because I feel like Marty, whilst 80-90% of his team's pretty much guarantee, there'll be oppositions that play certain ways. We'll go, I need a body that's a bit more cautious. So Ramsey, you're going to be on the bench. Bobby, you're going to start. Or I'm going to put Ayew on there. Or I'm going to put Carranza up front because we need to get balls into the boxes. Things like that, we'll still get game time. I'd much rather say he came off and did okay than going, oh, thank God he dragged him off after 26 minutes because he's getting torn to shreds.
Got to say, breaking news for you. Absolutely unbelievable scoreline earlier on today. St Vincent and the Grenadines beat Cuba 7-0.
Right, all worth this international break.
I'm going to say, I hope we had a scout over there looking who was scoring.
I hope you're looking forward to next year, because it's going to be a 3-week international break in October, rather than, so you won't have the November one, but you're going to have a 3-week one in October instead.
Stupid, isn't it? It really is. Get rid of the Nations League. I've got to say, Steve, when you look at that, 91% of that team were available to Ruud van Nistelrooy. The only that wasn't was James. And, the difference between that performance and any performance under Ruud, it's poles apart, isn't it?
It is, but as I said to you last week, which we disagreed on, Chris, we were in the Premier League last season, so I don't think these players were good enough to come up against it. And also, we've got a manager now that actually knows some tactics and can change things up, whereas, Ruud, I think he wrote it out on a piece of paper, put it in a hat, stuck the hat up on a dartboard, and then chucked a dart at it. That was his selection process last season. But yeah, it's just nice to have a manager that sort of knows what he's doing, and so I say sort of. He still plays Luke Thomas. I'm still not sold on Luke Thomas as a left back in this team. That's my only sticking point itself. And Brad, I know you'll be very sad to hear this, but I think going forward, it's got to be James and Winks in that midfield, right? We can't play Samari over any of those two.
No, you can't. In fact, you bring him on for the exact way Marty did against Swansea. Let's not give them a 91st minute with 7 added on. Let's not give them a way back into the game. Let's put that body, let's put that extra defensive body in. Because you've got no other midfielders, and don't mention Skip because he doesn't count. He's a poor excuse for a midfielder. So you're going to see that, and again, with the Bobby situation, that's where I'm happy with that being Samare's role. If it's in a game where it's like shorting up shop, because he might later on down the season go, we're playing Coventry again. they're going to throw bodies forward. We need defensive-minded players. That's when he might get a start. So you've got to go with your best players and your best tactical players.
And I'm sorry, Brad, but you mentioned him.
You don't want it, throw it in the rubbish. Nice one.
Can
I just say, so Oliver Skip at half-time, you know they do that thing where they pass the ball, around each other and they try and keep the ball up. He tried 4 separate times to do a keepy-uppy, like 2 in a row, and he failed. And I was like, if the professional footballer who's on like 60 grand a week can't do 2 keepy-ups, what is he doing at this club? I can do more than that.
Yeah, get you signed up. Brad, we said last week that we said on Tuesday night that it was the one time that Marty probably got his subs wrong. What do you think of the subs this week? I mean, you can see there Ramsey coming on, Samare coming on, Carranza, Thomas, Okoli.
I think they were good substitutions. He's already stated Carranza's going to have to slowly embed it in, and 15 minutes here, 10 minutes there, 20 minutes here is exactly how you do it. I know that was a bit later in this one, but you can't put a free you can't have a free kick and make subs. That's what the commentator said. You can't do that on 82 minutes. So it was a bit later coming on. But again, Silko Thomas coming on. We need someone on that side who's going to be able to play over Fatu, especially when we get into December, January. They were good subs, Chris. They were made for the right reasons at the right time when it was that they came on.
Talking about that, Steve, I never think you should make a substitution when the opposition have a corner, or indeed if you've got a corner, or at a free kick. It was quite funny that there was 4 players lined up. The 2 Swansea ones came on, and the Leicester ones didn't get on. I mean, do you think that was the right? I mean, all right, it was it happened. It turned out right, but do you agree with that? Not making subs when you've got a dead ball situation.
Yeah, I've never liked the idea of making a sub whilst you're set in, once the ball goes out of play and the players are set already in that sort of defensive setup or attacking setup in regards to a corner or a free kick. You don't make subs. But I would say the only time I would make subs if it was a free kick is if it's a case of the goalkeeper has the ball and he's lobbing the ball up pitch. Because there's not that sort of attacking intent from either side in that sense.
Yeah.
A bit strange, but managers are managers, and we all know about Alan Sheehan. He's a bit of a strange character, so it makes sense that he made a sub.
Alan Sheehan, one of them, mate.
Why do you not like Alan Sheehan?
Well, he's a rat. He's a rat. The way he left us.
Do you not remember what happened, Chris?
No, I don't. Just fill me in.
Hey, Steve, do you want the floor on this one, or shall I?
Oh, he forced him. He refused to sign a contract, and forced himself out on loan to Leeds. And ended up leaving. Yeah, he's a rat. He's an absolute rat. And
worst of all, before he refused to sign a contract, he got interviewed, I think, after we'd got relegated, which is obviously I don't like it when they do that sort of thing. But still, this scumbag deserves it, right? He got asked, what's the feeling dressing room? He's like, well, I was brought up through their youth academy. I feel like I'm a Leicester lad. I'm going to help get them back up here. And then he demanded a ludicrous wage, which, as Steve said, he wouldn't resign it unless it was like a penny, not even for a penny less than what we were offering him. What he wanted. He forced a move to Leeds, got called all the names under the sun, and then in his infinite wisdom, Chris, right? So you're hated by the fan base. We all want to, pitchforks and torches at you. I know what I'll do. Now I've just made a twat of myself in front of my local hero club, as I called them. I'm going to go out on the piss on a night out in Leicester and not expect to get beat up. Which whoever touch on him.
Yeah, there was also a situation where after a game, his mum went on to Fox's talk and started having arguments with people over his performance as well.
That Paul Kincheski's mum with Liverpool. That's what me on. But it was honestly, Chris, you don't remember him. He was a rat.
It's what mums are there for, isn't it? I'm glad I asked. Right. Okay, look, this is the match summary, Brad. Leicester created a high number of chances relative to their possession, were effective at creating goal-scoring opportunities through individual skill, effective at creating goal-scoring opportunities, from long shot situations, effective at creating goal-scoring opportunities from counter-attacks, and we're effective at creating goal-scoring opportunities from set pieces. Reading that, Brad, it's the best game of the season so far, wasn't it?
It really was up there, if not probably was actually, Chris. I mean, it's so nice to see the big gap between Swansea's one positive and ours being full of it, because in recent games, even ones we've won, it's been like 1, 2, maybe 3, but they've also had 2, 3, and it's very similar. This was the game, Chris, that I said, you use this term a lot throughout managers and when we've had a new manager. If we were uploading Marty's tactics to the level of standard that we want to see them play at, we hit 70% during this game, because there were still periods, and I'm sure Steve will agree, there were still periods that were kind of a bit like, oh, here we go, this is where we just kind of drop off a bit. But for the majority of the game, there wasn't really a moment until the referee went, corner, penalty. That aside, that I actually felt that we were going to concede a goal. I'll be perfectly honest with you. I know Jakob made that really smart save of that, Madsen, and anyone who doubted our number 1 choice. Just saying, someone wanted their number 3 choice they didn't like going in goal, but it wasn't me, and it wasn't Steve, but it was one of us on this show. Yeah.
I'm not even listening to you, Brad, so I don't know what you're getting that. I was just looking at the next slide.
Yeah. Well. We all know, really. Anyway, it was great, Chris. It was a good performance, and it's probably up there early doors as the performance of the season.
Yeah, as I said, sorry, to come back on that, I said that for about 70 minutes of the game, we were in control. I think the last 10 minutes of the first half, they switched it up slightly and were a bit more pressing, and we led us into a lot of mistakes. And then there was a moment just before their goal in the second half where they were sort of in control, from what I could tell. But
because I'm going to bring the graphic up for that in a second. But still doing this, give away a lot of free kicks around the box.
Yeah.
Why the fuck are we... Come on, Marty, sort that out, please.
Yeah, I think that's been on the last sort of 4 or 5 sort of ratings that we've done, is it? It comes up all the time. And I think that stems from the fact that we're playing it short. So when you give the ball away, you have to make a challenge because they're so close to our 18-yard box. So that's the reason there. And then I guess we're caught offside often. I mean, you could just label that as Daka, to be honest. You don't need to say offside, just say Daka, because whilst we play the ball over the top into space, he will be caught offside. It was like Vardy, he would score in games, but you can guarantee 2 or 3 times in a game he'd get caught offside. So, that happens with pacey players.
What are your thoughts, Steve, on where we all came from? No. What are your thoughts on all this stoppage time being played? I mean, the whole long match was 100 minutes and 37 seconds, and yet the actual play time was 58 minutes 40 seconds, only just over 50%.
Yeah, that is frustrating. I get why there was 7 minutes in the second half, because there was a penalty, there were several so you have to tack on 30 seconds per substitution nowadays is the rule effectively. So I understand why the second half was 7 minutes. But yeah, I sometimes I look at, because it was 3 minutes at the first half, not a lot happened, but yeah, the 7 minutes second. But then there are games like it was Sheffield Wednesday. They were time wasting a lot when we played them the first game of the season. They got a 1 minute stoppage time at the end of the first half, and we were like, it should be at least 4 or 5. What's going on here? So I get frustrated when I go to games and I only see sort of 60 minutes of action at most, because you're paying to see football, you're not paying to see people rolling around on the floor or ball going out of play. So I think there will probably be a change at some point in the near future that sort of maybe the clock stops after a certain point, so you get to a half an hour, and then every time the ball goes out of play, the clock stops for however long it is. We might see that come into play. See,
what I would suggest, Brad, me, I can be a little bit controversial at times, but
no,
I think the fans should pay for the tickets when they leave the ground. and then they can say, right, well, we've paid 50% of the game, so the cost of your ticket is 50% of what you would normally pay.
Problem is, you're getting into a bar because technically, and this is all your fault, Chris, technically they have that option when it comes to cricket. There has to be a certain amount of overs. Yeah, your own fault, do it. Your own fault, do it. There has to be a certain amount of the match played before any refund or potential part refund can be awarded. And what they'll say is, clock struck 90. Not our fault they weren't kicking the ball and the referee said that was 90 minutes of football. Can't refund you for that. If it was like the Ipswich Blackburn, then you just give them a free ticket for the rematch. But it'd be difficult to insert that rule. I have said this for years and I'm an advocate for it. I agree with Steve. I know it's from the egg chasers, but stop the clock. As soon as that player goes down in the bank, because then you know that clock's not moving.
But will we end up with NFL where, the game's 3 hours long?
See, that's where I'm going to counteract myself here and say the reason why, because we had those moments where at the beginning of last season where it was like 7 or 8 minutes added time after the first half and like 4 in the second. And the TV companies kicked off and was like, we only have so much, we have different programmings to go to. We can't watch the rest of this game. So, that's what I think that the media companies will kick off and nothing will change. That's
not being awful. The media companies have got enough bloody channels to why like for example, ITV have got 4 channels or 5 if you include ITV quiz. On ITV, look, if they're going to show a football match, whether it's one of the women's games or they show a championship match, which ITV are doing this season. Why does it have to be on ITV1? Because if you can get ITV1, you can also get ITV4. You're not disrupting your main programmes. People aren't saying, no, we could have been watching EastEnders or Coronation Street, Put it on ITV4, then who gives a fuck if it overruns? Because half of them all repeats anyway.
I guess the thing there is that it'll be advertisement. ITV1 will get a lot more advertisement money than ITV2 or ITV3. So that's probably why. But I agree. I mean, why don't they just have their own separate channel? So this goes back to the point of pre-pen kickoffs. I don't think should be blackouted anymore. I think we're at the stage in our life where if the people in America can watch it, and pay for it, why can't we pay for it and watch it? And I know that you can go on and use the EFL app or whatever it is that at the moment it's like £10 a game. I'm waiting for the time, and I think it will happen after the next, for Premier League anyway, the next TV package. It will be brought in house, and then the free play blackout won't be there anymore for Premier League. I actually don't think it affects the EFL as much as people say it might do, because if you're going to go to the game, you're going to go to the game. I don't think I've ever met anybody that says, you know what, I prefer to watch it and listen to, Chris Sutton on the box than actually be in the stadium. Even last year when it was awful, I would still prefer to have been in the stadium than watch it at home. So
I always say exactly the same. I live down in Bournemouth, so I don't have transport anymore, and obviously the cost involved, and I'm not working. I used to have a season ticket, and I used to travel all the way up to see the games. That was when I was well off and I had a job and what have you. If I lived in Leicester, and this is what used to annoy me with people, well, you don't support the club. If I lived in Leicester and it was a 10-minute bus ride to the ground, I'd be there for every single home game. Yeah. Whether it's on telly or not, because you're going for the atmosphere, you're going for the whole, the whole package. So, even if it's on the I watch it on the telly because I can't get to the games. But anyway, that's just another point. That just really annoys me. I mean, how much did you pay for your ticket to go and see this game?
I think it was like 33 quid.
33 quid. So you'd have probably, you paid 33 quid for 58 minutes worth of football.
And the 10-hour round trip of driving and,
Exactly. Right, let's have a look at this, because you were talking about it, Steve. So I'll pass this to Brad, but then come back to you afterwards. These are, interestingly, the 2 momentum maps from our last 2 games. Wrexham is the game at the top, as you can see, Swansea at the bottom. With Wrexham, despite everybody saying it wasn't an awful game and we should have, blah, 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 we were the team that was on top, I would say, looking at that, for 95% of the game. When you look at the one at the bottom, Brad, we were probably on top for 40% of the game. And yet we managed to beat Swansea 3-1 and we could only get a draw with Wrexham.
Yeah, which is why fans rightly perceive Wrexham to be the most disappointing game. I think disappointing is probably the better word to use for the Wrexham game because of that dominance, Chris, because of that control, because of the amount of, possession and strong areas we had that ball. We really should have beat Wrexham. It is a disappointing draw, Chris, because they had one bit of, I want to say magic. It wasn't even magic. It was just Vestergaard falling over that allowed them to rob us of a point. Now, football always balances itself out. You go back the week before to West Brom. You go, to a few days before that, even not even a week. You go, well, West Brom, we stole a point. Ironically, the better graph for me shows how Leicester go about their football is the Swansea one, because it's like, yeah, you might have the ball and you might want to play your possession football, but as we talked about, Chris, the amount of times when they had that ball, our high press got us the ball back. And I know there's blocks of the black line going up and down where they held on to the ball, but that's when they were chasing the game. And we was like, well, you come to us then, and then we'll try and hit you when you've left gaps in on the halfway line. And we did that for a while. And then you look what happened, Chris, exactly when they get back level. It's like, we're not having that then. You're going to try and sit back now. You're going to play back into our hands. The graph is better to visually see for the Wrexham game. But I know as a fan, I'm more happy with the graph being like that, coming away 3-1 winners, knowing that we actually put in a really good performance for the majority of that game, when controlling 90% of the game proves nothing, because the scoreline, Chris, is the most important stat, and it was 1-1. That one was 3-1. So it wasn't against Wrexham for that reason.
So when we spoke last Wednesday, Chris, I did say that the momentum map for Leicester in that game, I don't think that's correct, because yes, whilst we controlled the game, we had most of the possession. In that last sort of 15-20 minutes, it says that we were well on top towards the end of the game, and I don't think we were. I think we were quite, we were struggling a little bit once they scored. Whereas I think the reason why that bottom map makes more sense as having watched the game is that when we scored, they had to come back out. When they scored, they were going to sit back again. But then when we scored the second goal, they had to come back out again. So the game opened up a lot more. So we looked like we were more in control of the game. So yeah, I think the Wrexham one's a bit of a sort of a false sort of picture, because I don't think we were in control as much as that graph says we were. Whereas I think against Swansea, it did show that after we scored and 10 minutes before the half-time break, they were in control of the game. And then after the half-time break and just before they scored, they were in control of the game, and we gave away the penalty. But overall, I don't think we were that sort of bothered. But the Wrexham game itself, as much as it says the graph is all like this for Leicester, we had one shot on target. So how much can you say that momentum was in our favour and we only have one shot on target? Whereas the Swansea game, we had plenty of shots on target.
Well, let's have a look, shall we, Steve? As it says there, we had 17 shots, 7 of which were on target.
Yeah, exactly. And I do like the XG being 1.66, because obviously it's based on the quality of the goal, the quality of the shot in the area of the pitch. So the fact that we only got 0.66, because one was the Vestergaard one, which was probably going to go in anyway, but the 0.66 is those 2 other goals, because of the fact that from where they were shot, no one expects them to go in. So incredible. But yes, that overall, that was a much better performance, because we actually tested their keeper. 7 shots on target is great. I don't know where. I know they with the penalty and the shot that Jakub saved for the big chances created, but I actually can't think of anything else they did in that game where I was a bit like, fucking hell, we're hanging on here.
Well, they had 3 shots in the first half that were p-rollers to Jakub.
Yes.
So again, it's always taken into account what them shots on target were. I mean, you said this a lot earlier in the season, Chris. going back to Rude. But we probably had more shots on target in this game than we did in the Wrexham, the West Brom game, and maybe even the game before. But definitely the last two combined.
We did.
Drastic improvement in continuous performance as well, to see not just the amount of shots, because the amount of shots have been up there, but the shots on target being there.
Yeah. Interestingly, no red cards. I was misreading that. There was yellow cards. But look, I mean, when it came to possession, we know that doesn't always mean much, but they were on top. Expected goals, they were on top. Big chances created, it says they were on top. And passes completed, 433. And they had 84 attacks to our 57. I felt that first 45 for Wrexham, I felt was better than either of the two halves here, Steve.
Yeah, I would say overall the first 45 was better, but as a combined performance, I would say this was better than the Wrexham game. I would say that, overall, Saturday was a lot better than I've seen a lot of games this season, just based on both halves together. But yeah, the first half at Wrexham, realistically, we should have been 2 or 3 goals up at that point.
Yes, yeah. Excuse me. Excuse me. Brad, when you're looking at that, I have to say, finally, we're having more shots inside the box. Because, I mean, last I think against Wrexham, most of our shots were from outside the box. So it's good to see that, all right, we scored with the 2 of the shots that were outside the box. But it's nice to see we're getting into the box, isn't it?
Yeah, it was. And maybe that was something that Marty brought up after the Wrexham game, where he said, you cannot lose your composure, because again, a bit like Steve says, the momentum seems to be there, but we were having pop shots from nowhere, and you could see the player winding his leg back to hit it, and we were probably, whether we were sat doing a watch along, sat at home or sat in the stand going, oh, for God's sake, not another one. It felt like that against Wrexham, whereas against Swansea, and again, credit goes to the manager and the players for maybe combating how Swansea are going to go about it to have more of it. It was almost as if the feeling around the ground was, let's not panic. If we need 2 or 3 passes extra, instead of shooting from 30 yards out, let's do them 2 or 3 passes, because if it leads to a goal, and again, okay, they came from the edge of the box anyway, but we created them spaces to make them shots more viable and look a bit more like they had a chance of going in than hitting them into a body of 4 or 5 defenders like we were against Wrexham. So it was nice to see them creating chances in the box as well as outside.
12 shots inside the box, 5 shots outside, 1 big chance missed, which was the Carranza one, obviously. 5 shots were blocked, and of course we hit the woodwork twice. Now, Brad, you've got your love child in Samari, but I've come across Steve's love child, because he picked this guy when we were talking about players last week, and I was
worried. I was worried, Chris. I wonder where you were going. Like you were going to be like, "Oh, his favourite person is Luke Thomas," and I'd be like, "I'm leaving."
Yeah, come on in, Luke. Jukebox jury back in the day. But look, I wanted to talk about this guy. I mean, you said earlier, Brad, don't fall in love with Aloni and all that. And Steve, you said, get him signed up now. I mean, I'm a little bit worried that he's had 2 fantastic games when he's been played in his rightful position. I don't want to get too excited too soon. Or do you think we should be anyway?
Fuck it. Let's be excited. We've had an awful year last year. It's about time we've got people that are giving us that excitement, and JJ does that. He wears his heart on his sleeve. He's very passionate. He chases down lost causes. And look, we would have bit everybody's hand off for a play like that last season. If we'd have signed him instead of Oliver Skipp we would all be like, what a player. So much better. I don't
think we'd have stayed up with Rude as manager, even with him in the team.
No, we wouldn't. But at least we wouldn't have spent £25 million on somebody that's losing his hair at 22, or 23. Sorry, but overall, like this guy.
Come on in, Ollie.
Yeah, he seems like he's everywhere. Like there are times where you watch him, and you're like, oh, he's on the left. Oh, he's back in the middle. Oh, he's look at the bottom left-hand corner where he's. I know he took a couple of corners, but he was chasing down lost causes at times, and those are sort of plays where you get behind them all the time. You like Vardy when he chased down a lost cause, he just like slide a player out of the way. It gets the fans off the seat if it's a boring game because it's like finally somebody's trying, and he looks like he tries a lot.
I mean, look, there's his heat map, Brad, as you can see. Decent colours. Do you think this is part of March's plan? Because he swaps Monga or Mavididi, whoever he's got playing that role, with Fatawu. He swaps them over. I think it was this game we actually saw Fatawu saying to Monga, right, you go on that side. Do you think he's got the same plan with James and Winks?
He possibly does, because they kind of complement each other in that way. He frees Winks up a little bit, that he doesn't feel as restricted. He can drift into spaces. You saw that chance near the end with the cross that Winks got in is because he was able to drift. I know that was his side he was on, but that's because James kind of went, I know James wasn't on at that point, but you feel like that's his plan when he's got them players on to allow him to have that freedom. You talk about, yes, don't fall in love with lonely, don't try and judge them too early. If you said to a Leicester fan, paint me your perfect, ideal midfielder that's going to sign for you or be at your club, even if it's just for a season, who do you want? It's going to be someone that shows grit, determination, passion, wants to be here attitude. And this guy has it in bucket loads. I've spoke about what he said in the press conferences, not press conferences, but he said in interviews, before. He's mentioned Leicester before, saying how he feels like this is Leicester's way, is the way he likes to play his football. If you can get a tune out of him this early, Chris, and he becomes a regular and very rarely has a bad performance for us. I will be doing every satanic ritual needed to make sure that this deal becomes a permanent one, if this is how he's going to go. Because he just embeds Leicester, Chris. You asked define a player that shows what Leicester want and what they want in a player. I probably went a bit too high with Maddison, but you guys said Dewsbury Hall. That guy bled Leicester and probably still does, even though he's at Everton. I would always say, maybe in 6-7 years, that door could be open for him to come back. I think this guy could end up bleeding Leicester in the same way, because he just seems to give off that attitude and he rallies the players around him, Chris. That's what I love about him already.
I mean, Steve, I get what Brad's saying, but he is touting for a job, isn't he?
In what sense, sorry?
He's been saying like, I feel at home at Leicester, and
yeah. I mean,
we're paying you wages, and you want us to sign you because you don't want to go back to Rennes.
Yeah, no, exactly. And as Paolo Maldini once said, if you join a club, you've got to make sure you put the effort in. So but how many times have we signed players? They've just been like, "Oh, I'm happy to be here. Let's get going." This guy he's from the sort of Birmingham-ish area, isn't he? He must know the club because we played him a couple of seasons ago. Played against him, sorry. He wants to stay in the Midlands. So, yeah, of course he's going to come here and say, I want to play for this club. I'm excited. This is how I want to play football. But honestly, I couldn't care what he says in that sense. As long as he backs it up on the pitch and then he signs for his full time and then he still puts the effort in, great. We've had a long history of players that sign that just don't care. Just doesn't want to be here. Ain't looking at the stepping stone. Whereas I don't think JJ is like that. I think he wants to sign for the club, and he'll be here for 2-3 years. And if we send him for a profit, great. I'm happy with it. We're in the pecking order of football teams. You got to sell up to keep going up. So
it's how we've survived for many years, wasn't it? Selling the players.
Yeah, and just to top off that point, the one problem we have with loanies in this division is, if we finish where we expect to finish, or come the end of the season with a couple of games to go, we're 7th, 8th, and a couple of points off the playoffs, sometimes you get the loanies that kind of go, oh, well, I've done all I can. So it's not my club. I'm going back to wherever I've come from. You see the effort drop off. Whereas you feel like if you've got to roll your sleeves up, and we've got to make sure we're staying in the playoffs or making a late O'Neill style dash for the playoffs. This guy's not going to let you down, and that's what I also get the feeling of from him.
Should we be worried, Brad? I mean, as a defensive
midfielder, should be.
Yeah, always be worried.
It gives you being a Leicester fan, doesn't it? You know, no. I mean, or was it the nature of the game? Because for a defensive midfielder, he wasn't in our own half much, was he?
No, he wasn't. But that's where you kind of, and we said this going back years, Chris, about Samari and Napoli's Mendy. That it felt like indeed he had to, you know, when we had them as a back three, it felt like indeed he couldn't break free his shackles because he was told to babysit one of them, whichever one Brendan was trusting at the time to go forward was the one that was allowed to go forward. Whereas James kind of gets that freedom, and it allows a bit of clarity for Harry Winks to kind of go, I know where everybody is. I know Vestergaard's there, 10 yards back. I know Wildface is, oh no, he's going up front. You know, he knows what's around him because he's just not got to go, where's James? Where's James? Yeah, he's good boy, James. You're where you are. He knows James is doing exactly what his manager's told him to. And more importantly, Marty said, probably goes, don't worry about him. He's going to run around like an absolute blow-ass fly chasing the ball. You do your job. And that makes it easier for him to do his job.
I don't think he's a defensive midfielder, though, because I think actually, you know, he pushes on slightly more to let Ricardo be in that position. So I think the reason we don't see him much in that defensive midfield role is because Ricardo's taken that position when we've got the ball, and he pushes on a bit more.
And we need an outlet as well, Chris, because there's no point having our midfielders all get back to help the defence, because you get underneath each other's feet. Ricardo gets the ball. He knows James is 20 yards in the middle. He plays in the ball through the middle, and we're on the front foot. And you did see that with some of the passes into him, the amount of space he had in front of him. And he earns that space.
88 minutes, Steve. 1 goal, 1 assist. You couldn't ask for much more. 8.8 on FOTMob rating. He was their player of the match. We'll come on to ours obviously later. There's his, stats. He hit the woodwork as well. 50% of his long passes were completed, 19 out of 23. 7 of his passes were into the final third. All right, he made 2 fouls. That wasn't bad. He lost possession 9 times. But you've got to say that this guy could be the difference between us getting into the playoffs and not getting into the playoffs, as Brad was saying.
Yeah, but if I shit on Samari a couple of weeks ago for 0 interceptions, I've probably got to do the same for JJ, right? Is that how that works?
Yeah, I think we probably have to. Yeah.
I've always liked you, Steve. Good lad.
As Maldini once said.
Yes, you're all on that. No.
It used to be Confucius say, now it's Maldini say.
I think overall, it was almost the complete performance for me from him at the weekend, because he was everywhere. As I said, he's chipped in with a goal. He's got an assist. He wasn't dribble past, which is good as a central midfielder. He puts himself about a bit. And look, if he does lose the ball, he tries to get it back again. So, I mean, it does mean that we get some fouls around our box because we give away the ball like that. But overall, I thought he played really well. And look, there was a couple of times on Saturday where he was a bit sloppy with his passing. But I think that comes with playing more minutes and getting back into the feel of things. But overall, I think honestly, it's his best performance in a Leicester shirt so far, and I think it was probably the performance of the season of any player in our team. Indeed.
Right, it's the moment that everybody waits for. The gloves come off. Look, Steve's getting ready now. Look, there he is.
We're demanding justice this week. Me and Steve got under the collar about with old Jordan Blackwell. So
last week, Brad, I've got to say, because you weren't here post Wrexham game, it was like a loving.
Oh God, how many was he with him on?
8, I think he ended up agreeing with him on.
Well, no, I think Jordan agrees with me. It's not me agreeing with Jordan.
I like that. Yeah, he's copying our homework.
Exactly.
How can he copy your homework when you put this in 2 days ago?
Well, I did mine as soon as 9 minutes came up. So, mine was in my phone instantly. So I did mine really quickly.
Yeah. He's got hackers. All
I'm saying is This is what I expect to see.
Fight, 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 fight.
So, fingers crossed. Are we ready, gentlemen?
Ready as well, everybody.
And what about you, Brad?
Still not ready, even though I'm not a gentleman.
Right, here we go.
Said I am ready.
Let us start. I'm going to put Brad first this time because Steve did it all on his own on Wednesday. Let's start with, well, where else are we going to start? Stolarczyk.
Look, again, when your defence gives you a relatively quiet game, you have to be alert to the odd time that they're not having, their star moments. And when he was called upon, he made a fantastic save. He was dead unlucky with the penalty because had the bloke gone the way he pre-dived about 4 hours early, he was saving it because he actually reached beyond the post, but he can't help the penalty. They're in the favour of the striker to score. Or should I say the penalty taker these days, because apparently strikers don't take them most days. But yeah, a really good game. Pivotal save because I think it was still 1-0 or 1-1 at that point when he made it, and that could have got the momentum to a different outcome. I was happy with his performance. I'm going to give him a 7.
7. Josh, what am I saying? Steve, sorry.
Yeah, Josh. Hello, Josh. How you doing, mate?
Josh, all right, mate.
Josh, what are you hiding?
You know what I'm like with names.
Hang on. Hello, Chris. It's Josh. Right. Anyway, I gave him a 7. I gave 7 too. I think he was fairly solid. He made a crucial save. He was still slow with the distribution, but overall, it was a pretty solid game. Probably one of his better ones in Leicester shirt.
7 again. I'd actually written Josh down. Don't know where that came from at all. Yeah, I'm sure you've been called worse in your time.
Well, I got called worse today, so no difference.
Jakub from Jordan produced a brilliant instinctive save at 1-0 to keep City ahead, and his strong positioning made other saves look simple. Commanded his area too, and he got an 8 off Jordan.
Yeah, I think it's a bit.
Okay. I feel like a lot of these results that John's going to give are based on the fact that we won the game, so it always adds an extra point on, no matter what. So
I don't know. I mean, he is the local rags footballing expert.
Expert is doing a lot of pulling there, isn't it?
Look, you loved him last week. Don't pretend.
I've never loved him. I agreed with him, but I never loved him.
There was a bit of a loving, honestly. It's a good job I had a bookie by the side of me, Brad. I'll tell you, I was sick in it twice. Let's move on to Ricardo.
Probably for once, it was nice to see that he wasn't actually needed to be so involved in the forward play. As great as he was that he got them goals for us early in the season, we don't need Ricardo to be the next Steve Wolf's backline player. I know he's a right back, but you know what I mean. We don't need to rely on him chipping him every week for goals. Fairly solid, Chris. Got through the game. I think because we have a bit of a weaker side on our left-hand side, he wasn't attacked as much, and he dealt with majority of the stuff he had well. I'm going to give him a 7, Chris.
7. Steve.
I'd give him a 6. He was fairly sloppy on the ball.
Whoa, who's this Steve? Where's Josh?
Oh,
I don't know. I'll ask Josh back. He was kinder.
I'd give him a 6, actually. He was fairly sloppy on the ball.
Josh has fucking tea and crumpets.
Overall, he did his job well, but I think it was one of his quieter games. So, look, I am honest. I don't give him the extra point when I feel like we've won a game. I've got to be fairly honest, and I think he was a 6.
Okay, 6 you've given him. Guys in the chat, if you want to join in and put your thoughts in, please do, and they'll come up, like I say, in that bottom right. They all disappear because I had to get rid of the Twitch twat. So Jordan says, Eon troubled him at times, but Ricardo generally did enough to stop the Swansea winger from causing too many problems. On the ball, he was great. playing good forward passes and staying calm under pressure. Brad, football friends. He got a 7 off Jordan.
I know it won't last. Oh dear.
Brad, Mr. Faze gave away the penalty.
Yeah, well, it wasn't a penalty, but he did give it away. And again, when you've got your leg up like that, you're going to give the referee an incentive to give a decision. Again, personally, I want a Coley. I've kind of accepted Vestergaard's going to be his main man this season. It's not going to be Nelson, although I hope we do get to see some of Nelson. Whilst I think he was harshly adjudged for the foul, it was still just daft what he did to give it away because it was going out for a goal kick. He wasn't going anywhere with the ball. For that reason, I'm going to give him a 6.
A 6. I mean,
unless Jordan's gone 6, then it's a 7.
No, you've got 6. I've written it down. Steve, the commentator said he thought it was a corner. Matt Elliott said he thought it was a goal kick. The referee gave it as a penalty. But how many times do we see Faze going down who misses? You know, I mean, stay on your feet, and you don't give the penalty away because the ball was going nowhere.
Yeah, no, I agree. I actually thought it was a penalty when I saw it from where I was. Bear in mind, I'm the other end of the pitch, so you know you only get one look at it. And I thought, why did he dive in there? It didn't look like he needed to. But look, you know, I think he's a bit rash at times. We all know that he has moments where he forgets that he's a professional footballer and he just does something random. But yeah, I mean, I gave him a 6. I think he was steady, but I think you take a point away from the fact that he gave away a penalty, even though on a second thought and looking at it, I didn't think it was a penalty. So, no. But still, you shouldn't be diving in at that area of the box.
I possibly thought it was at the start, but I mean, it's one of those moments where look, you accept it because you don't want VAR.
Yeah, exactly.
You know? Yeah. Jordan said he looked incredibly unfortunate to concede the penalty. Timed his slide well to kick the ball onto Gilbraith. He defended reasonably well too, although he didn't have as much to do as his partner. And we've got an even double. Woo, football friends. Because we got 6 again.
I'm going to get this flat check for rating.
So it's 2-1 at the moment. Brad's agreed twice. Steve's done it once. Vestergaard, Brad. Look, I mean, it's got to be a 10, hasn't it, with getting the goal?
I'm half tempted to give him a 2 just so Jordan can't agree with me. But no, Jordan will praise him and give him a 3 anyway. No, look, it was solid performance. Scored a goal. It was a killing off goal, which is probably the most vital goal of the lot, the way the game was going late on, especially with the added on time. Because if they got a goal in that, who knows? I'm going to give him a 7, Chris, because he didn't have a lot to do in his main job. It was just a very nice present that he had something to do at the other end.
You sure about that?
Oh, look, if I go 3-1 up and fine, just fine. I'm still going to box him on YouTube anyway.
7, Steve.
Chris, you shouldn't say that sort of things because I was going to go 7, but it makes me want to do less, so I don't agree with him more. So, but I'm not. I'm going to stick to it. I'm going to say 7. He was fairly solid. He got a goal, and you know it was nice for an actual defender to score from an opportunity for a change. Because how many times have we put the ball in the box and there's just been nothing?
Exactly.
But yeah, I think he.
Sorry, carry on.
So I just think he was decent, and I think that there's a reason why he's Marty's number 1 centre back, and it's because he's calm and collective on the ball.
And look, if he can turn, himself into a goal machine at the other end. I mean, sort of 20 a season, but he can get his head on those, which is something we've always said, isn't it? Like 7 foot when he stood, 4 foot nothing when he jumps. But he got his head on the thing, and it's the first time he scored a goal from a header. Starman, says Jordan, intercepted well, cleared his box effectively, and made important tackles when he was dragged wide. He passed well. to and looked for the right options, and then popped up with a goal at the end as well. And he got an 8 off Jordan.
I bet you glad you didn't go higher now, aren't you?
Yeah, no, I'm sorry. Yep.
Thomas, Brad.
I'm not enamoured with Thomas. There is a clear incentive for every opposition to go down that side. If there is one player that hasn't quite clicked with his confidence to be more overlapping and get more aggressive and trust his own abilities and his pace to track back if necessary, it's Luke Thomas. I'm going to sound really harsh here. I'm going to give him a 5.
Ooh.
I think if there was a player that I looked at that performance and wasn't really thinking anything of, it was just Luke Thomas. Didn't know he was in the game at times, to be perfectly honest.
Steve?
Mute, silence, astonished.
Bloody hell, I pressed the button back. I coughed, I think
You
it
need to
was.
lose weight, because every time you lean forward, your stomach puts it on mute.
No, whoa, hang on. I've
lost shots fired there. Shots fired.
I have lost a significant amount of weight in the last 4 months. Thank you very much, Christopher. I pressed the button so I don't cough, unlike you last week when you coughed with your mic on. I'm a bit more professional. So
What I did was, because Steve had given me his bloody cold, and Rose was running, and I said, I'll go off while I blow my nose, turn the camera off, and forgot to turn the mic off.
Whereas I'm considerate to all of your listeners, and I will mute my mic to cough or sneeze. So I'm just
you will. And I have to say, if you can see my stomach, I've been on Slimming World for 12 weeks by the doctor. So I got it free, and I've lost half a stone.
Oh, well done. Well
yeah,
done.
but it's not well done. It's shit in 12 weeks.
No, but it's not, because, okay, so if you're comparing it to me, then, yeah, unfortunately, I've lost 2.5 stone in sort of 12, 13 weeks or so. But I'm going to the gym daily. I'm doing a lot of walking, and I've got a manual labor job. And I'm also eating smaller calories compared to most people. But any weight loss is good weight loss. See it as a positive. Don't see it as a negative, because, you're changing your life for the better. So, and I'll say this to anybody watching, if you are overweight, any weight loss is better than zero weight loss. Don't ever feel guilty for losing weight, because it's incredible.
Don't matter if it's a pound or half a stone, you've lost it. It's better to lose it than put it on.
And it'll extend your life.
Well, welcome to the Vanessa Hour. Steve, moving on.
I gave him a 5. I think, Brad, you hit the nail on the head. I think that he is the weak link in this team. There was a moment where I know Jakov pulled off a great save, but Thomas just let him go. And at that point, you're like, come on, mate. You're in your mid-20s now. You should be better than this. But unfortunately, I just don't think he's good enough. But yeah, I think 5 is there. He doesn't do the things that a fullback should be doing, which is like bombing on and, being a defensive player.
Are you ready for this now?
I didn't see him come on, but do you think we are going to be ending up seeing Christensen holding that position down?
Yeah, I do, because as much as I also don't rate Christensen all that much, he is a better player than Luke Thomas.
Yeah, he definitely seems to fit the mentor that Marty wants from it. And we've talked about the attacking down one particular side. I think it is just purely because we don't have the impetus on that left side supporting Monga or Mavadidi. And to the point where I'm thinking, why don't you just do what bloody Rude and Steve Cooper used to do and play instead of playing a right-sided player on the left, play Monga as a left back and have him bob it.
Not go there, Brad. I'll kick you out.
I'll kick myself out, trust me.
An odd game, says Jordan, in which he did lots well, but also made mistakes. He stood too far off Ronald at times and got caught flat-footed for Vinoptic's second half chance. He also put in a few strong challenges with his set piece delivery was very good. He got a 6, so you avoided.
We're on a roll there, Steve.
Kevin's gone 5 for Thomas. It's spot on, a very weak link. For me, I think he's a squad player. I like him, and I think he won't let you down. He will run through that wall for you. Cifuentes has come out and said, whatever you ask him to do, he gives it a go. He'll always try. But for me, I've changed my mind because last season I wanted Thomas to start at the start of this season, but I think Christensen, it's there for him to take and hold on to.
And I think Thomas would benefit from being that defender that comes on with 15, 20 minutes to go when we're 2-0 up or we're needing to see a game out, because he is that more defensive minded.
Yeah. Harry Winks here, Brad.
I mean, he's back to being a big cog in the machine of the midfield again, isn't he? I said it. He's done exactly what I asked him to. Get his head out of his arse. The window's gone. Played for Leicester. Play with pride. Play for your own personal pride, if nothing else. He's doing that. Passed the ball well. Got around well. Was outshone by a couple of midfielders, so I'm going to give him a 7. But it's nice to say that because we got a bit used to Winks being the main man for Rockley, so I'm going to give him a 7.
7. Steve?
7 I think is fair. I think overall they doubled up on him, I noticed at the weekend. So whenever he got the ball, there was 2 players on him constantly. So in that sort of situation, you're good enough, but you're not going to impact the game all that much. He got an assist, which is what I asked for. If you remember on Wednesday, I said, if he was chipping in with more assists and goals, then fantastic. So I think 7 is fair. Still a decent sort of steady performance, and I expect it to continue after the international break.
Jordan says he was not quite as influential as in recent games, but he was still very solid in possession. He showed his class with his header to James for the first goal, a composed moment when everybody else was panicking. All I'm going to say is, football friends. But he got to him out with 7. I've got that. I must save that as a thing to play.
The button, it'll be like the bell end of Brendan button.
You remember that?
I do. I used it a lot.
Yeah, we used to have a thing that was like you a bell end or something, and every time we mentioned Brendan at the end. Righty. I think I know which way this is going. James, Brad.
Star man. Suck it, Jordan. That's your real star man, not your Yannick Vestergaard lamppost. Yeah, absolutely. Just give the fans something to really get them excited behind it. Get the ball. He'd go on a mazy run. He'd play a nice pass into the final third. Beautiful goal to get us on our way to 3 points. Just emphasises everything Leicester. My man of the match, 9.
9. Steve.
So I give him a 6. I don't.
I've written it down now. You committed to it, so 6 for Steve.
I'll laugh if he said that and Jordan gave him a 6. That'd be hilarious.
I'm going to do something here that might shock you both, and I think I'm giving him a 10.
Oof.
Ooh,
and the reason being is that I think it's the performance, the best player performance so far of the season out of everybody, of all the games. I think he was outstanding. A goal and an assist. He was tireless in that midfield consistently, and he was the constant link-up play between Winks and Bobby or Daka or whatever. So I think genuinely he was outstanding. And I might get laughed at for giving him a 10. But I think if you have a player that puts in those performances in a game, you shouldn't be scared to give the top marks. So I give him a 10.
You shouldn't. And look, it's your opinion. So you give him 10.
I mean, I'll give him a 9, so we ain't too far off the mark, literally.
Jordan says, he had his name chanted by the fans at full time, and it's no wonder why. He scored a wonder goal in the first period and nearly had a second after the break. Like Winks, he wasn't as involved as Tuesday because of Swansea's possession, but everything he did was good.
It's a 9, isn't
it? You said you felt silly giving a 10, Steve.
Yes.
You might still feel it because he got an 8 off Jordan.
I was willing to take the L. I was genuinely willing to take the L and go 4-2 instead of 3-2. How was he given 8?
An 8. And that
man got a picture of Jordan James, wrote his report, spuffing one off all over this photograph, and then gone 8.
Yeah. He got Jizz sort of depression, didn't he? Where he finished, he was like, "Oh,
yeah,
okay,
yeah. The post-mortem come down. Hey,
yeah."
Maybe that's how many seconds he lasted thinking of him. That's why he gave him a
Possibly,
knee.
but you guarantee he got up and did the washing up afterwards.
Put him in a sticky situation. And welcome to the sex hour on LCID TV.
I'm going to do this. Both of you, you banned in the naughty bin.
That's what we call Jordan's house, isn't it? The naughty bin.
Oh, I can't believe what I've just heard. Jordan is watching
Manchester City.
The views of Brad and Steve are not necessarily those of the channel.
But they are entertaining.
No, they're not. No, they're not.
Yeah, they are. You love it, Chris.
Dakota Reed.
Wait, what did? Oh, yeah, Denny. Sorry, yeah. Sorry.
Yeah, we had our run about the 8 and got to Jizz.
Steve, what are you laughing at? Have I missed something?
Sorry, I'll go.
I'll jump in here. Bobby gets a 6 from me. He was lackluster. He wasn't as good as he was against Wrexham. I think overall, it's only a matter of time before somebody comes in and takes that position for themselves. And I think it will be in the next sort of 3 or 4 games.
So,
Brad's back.
What did I miss, Brad? What did I miss?
It was just the fact that how in the midst of our rampage and rage and then getting on to just talk that Steve forgot that we got a rating from him. This is the most unfortunate 5 I'm going to give because it's not his fault that not a lot happened, but there was a lot of that first half. I didn't even know he was on the pitch. So I'm going to give him a 5 and get the Andrex out for Jordan.
Yes. I've got mine out. Come on, guys.
What, over Bobby? Oh, that's a shame, Chris. You know, at least do it over somebody that deserves it.
He is his favourite player. He loved him last season.
And if you haven't got a pack of Andrex, wipe your arse with a puppy. Right.
Don't tell Jordan that. The poor dog's at the ground sniffing out drugs.
Oh, it's going to be a crusty puppy after that as well.
Oh. It will come right into it.
I'm sorry, I'll not have them back on again, YouTube, I promise. Bobby Dakota Reed, a difficult afternoon after such a good showing in midweek. He wasn't strong enough on the ball and didn't do a great job of blocking passing lines early on either. He couldn't get into the game when City were on the attack and was the first man subbed. He actually got a 4 off Jordan.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Fair enough.
4's out for Jordan. That one.
We've got a 4, 5, and 6 there.
Yeah, he definitely wrote that after his Jordan essay, didn't he?
Yeah, it was definitely on the post come down.
The orgasmic one.
Straight to Steve here, aren't we? You know. Steve is naked from the waist down. If anybody's watching, by the way.
Look, it's not his fault. It's Bobby D. Come down a read. You know, as Maldini once said.
You believe it? I don't remember Maldini ever actually saying that.
It's in the archives, Chris. It's in the archives.
It's one of his lesser-known quotes, isn't it?
Yeah. I know him quite well. You know, he tells me these all the time. So.
Yeah. Right. Okay. I think next week we see Ramsey start, and I think then it's his position to lose. To be honest with you.
Probably. Yeah,
but I mean, they won't play him because he's only got short legs to lose the Trek, hasn't he? To lose. Patawoo.
Anyway, moving on.
Wednesday, Chris, every time you make a joke, we're just going to sit there like.
And I think
a little tumbleweed that goes past. Well, I'll do that with a tumbleweed. It'll go to
do you mean tumbleweed? Sorry.
Oh, well, he did make a prick out of him, didn't he?
So, Chris, you're like, I've had enough of this. I'm going to do it on my own next week.
Yeah, well, I might not even be here because I'll be happy. It's international break. He gets 2 weeks off from
This gets taken. If this gets taken down because of the EFL content, you know it's not because of that, really.
Chris is like, I have to put not recommended for children on the fucking list.
Yeah, there is a button I have to tick that says this is for adults. I don't think you two are adults, so let's be honest.
No, we've definitely balls that rated up, haven't we?
You two are like two little kids, primary school kids in the. He said, come. That's you two. Right. Can we get back to the football? Back to you, Brad. I'm slowly losing the will to live here.
Look, once every 5 they go in, and Fatu hit an absolute peach that went in again. It is his trademark. As the great Maldini once said, it's easy to see what he's going to do. It's harder to stop him doing it, and that was the case on Saturday against Swansea. He does still have that part of his game where he just goes missing. You don't see him get involved in the game. Maybe he was too near, Jordan Blackwell's seat. And slipped over on something, but he just went missing. He did have that post, going on throughout the game, and that's probably why Silko Thomas is raring, chomping at the bit to get on the pitch and show what he can do if Fatu is not up to it. He was on Saturday though for the majority of it, so I'm going to give him a 7.
Steve.
So, as the great Paolo Maldini once said, if you give Abdul an inch, he'll take a mile. And that is what the Swansea defenders did at the weekend. They gave him the space to cut inside and take that shot. But I would say that first half he was quite poor. And I said so on Twitter as well. But you take in the goal and the fact it came at a time where we needed to score because the game went back in our favour after that point. I give him a 6. I think he was okay, but
what about the long shot that hit the bar?
Look, the XG on that was like 0.02. So I didn't expect it. I didn't think it was it was going to happen, but I don't think that pushes it up for me. It didn't make me feel something inside, So I've got to go with a 6.
Thank God for that. Can I just say, I'm surprised Paolo Maldini actually had time to play football, writing all these sayings down.
Wow.
Well, as the great Paolo Maldini once said, I'm writing this as I'm playing.
It's well known, Chris, that actually his other centre-back, because he was so good as a centre-back, the other centre-back didn't have a lot to do, so he was just writing them down for him.
Yeah, he was taking down his memoirs, ghostwriting. That's what it's all about.
Yeah.
No, I know. Genuinely, he'd had a poor game up to the goal, but then he let rip with another stunner before nearly finding the net from 45 yards. It's hard to complain about his frustrating moments when he can produce quality like that. Yeah, basically, he's agreeing with, you, Steve, but he gets, football friends. 7.
Nah.
I knew that one was going to be in my favour. I think there's tactical shenanigans by Steve there. I reckon he knew that.
I will also say that shot doesn't count as a shot on target either because it hit the bar.
Yeah, that's very true. Yeah. Look, one of his brighter games, ran around, and I think Marty's found a better way to utilise him, and that is to stretch the back line and get into good areas of space. I feel like giving him a 9 just because I know Jordan Blackwell hasn't gone that high.
No, you've got to give him what you think.
Tactically, I want to give him that, but I'm not going to. I'm going to give him a 7.
Ooh.
I'm going to give him a 7. I think for what Marty asked him to do, yeah.
Sorry, Tom's ringing me like you don't know I'm on the show, Tom.
Pornhub is ringing him, asking him for information for audio.
He's asking if you've got any Kleenex information. Andrex, Kleenex, which one?
Wipe the slate clean.
I give him a 6.
Give him a 6.
I think
Let's not talk about football anymore. Come on,
overall, he was doing what was asked of him, but I don't think he was a threat really in the opposition box. But overall, he is. I think he will be our starting striker going forward. Which, thank God, because I'm sick of seeing Jordan Ayew.
Can I just say that, I know you guys are sort of jizzing off to everything. I mean, I think the ladies, I've had a load of messages from ladies saying, please, can we see it again?
But, hey.
Jesus Christ, and not expect that.
What you don't know is that guy up there, he was a player.
Yes, I'm sure he was. Not at football, though.
No,
right.
Well, not even in the other sense, to be honest with you, Chris. That was a long-term relationship guy, that one there.
Oh, bless. Right, he made a good runs in behind that should have been utilised more, as when it came to his feet, he had a difficult time holding the ball up. Chased in one late on to nearly score after Fataru hit the bar. He got a 5.
Fair enough.
Brad.
Again, all I'm going to say
probably should be watching this.
Well, I bet we've just got an extra viewer, so that just tells me incognito mode has been activated on Wayne's laptop. Again, we've already talked about jizzing off and off. We don't need any more of it. To be honest with you, one of his least influential games, because the rest of the team actually woke up and stepped up to the plate. It was good. It was good to see that we weren't actually just going to a 16-year-old. Here, can you do everything for us? Yeah, cheers, mate. Felt much appreciated. No, they actually allowed him to develop as a footballer and not just have the weight of the world carried on his shoulders. Having said that, I think he won us the free kick. I can't remember him doing. Well, no, he had a shot straight at the goalkeeper as well. They're the only things I remember him doing in the game. Unlike Jordan, who waxes lyrical about a player and gives him a 5, I can't remember doing much. I'm going to give him a 5.
5. Ooh. Wayne will not talk to you now.
Oh, thank God for that. I mean, oh, really? Yeah.
He gets a 6 from me. I think he was, I agree with what Brad said. He was a bit ineffective overall in his performance. But there were times where he was pulling a centre-back and a full-back out to his side of the pitch, which gave a bit more space in that second half. So overall, I think he did okay. He did fairly average, really, but I don't think he was pulling up any trees.
No, you have given him.
I agree he wasn't pulling any trees. He's playing football.
Well, that's true.
I'm a lumberjack and I'm okay. All right, Jeremy Monga. His footwork was excellent as usual, and he kept picking himself up when he was knocked down. I get knocked down, so I better pick it. He's so good at creating space for himself with little body feints too. More goals are coming. He got a 7.
I think he's joined the Wayne Loving group. No, with a 7.
Thank God. Next week there is no review show.
You need a week just to recover this channel.
In 2 weeks' time, everybody, we will have 2 new presenters on this show.
Hey, all I'm saying is, all the things going on aside, the viewership's been high up today. I'm just pointing out there. Ever since we started making jokes about Jordan,
I'm looking forward to Josh turning up and Brodley. Get Brodley and Josh on the.
Bradley always comes on. We like Bradley. Bradley's nice.
What? No, my name's not Brad. My name is Antonio.
Your name's not Brad. You're quite right. It's Bradley.
I thought it was Paolo Bradini, but apparently.
As the famous Paolo Maldini said, my long lost cousin, Pablo Bradini is on LTID TV.
Could this show go any worse?
Right, yeah.
Shut the fuck up. Give us your points for Ramsey.
As the famous Paolo Maldini said, if you can stay on the pitch and not get sent off, you're always going to do better than the last game you played. Look, he's the perfect player that's going to eventually take over that role in number 10. He showed tenacity. He showed his burst of pace. He kept that high press, which if you put Ayew on, it drops, So he was a great replacement to bring on. I'm going to give him a 6 because he wasn't on too long and the game was sort of turned on its head by the time he could get into his momentum. But yeah, he gets a 6.
Gets a 6. When did he come on? Didn't he come on at half time?
It was like 57 or something.
Was it?
Yeah.
Okay. Steve?
Yeah, I give him a 5 from what I wrote down here. I think overall he was steady. He played a couple of decent passes. There was one where he put Winks free and Winks put it into the box and he got cleared. But overall, it was just a nice sort of tidy player to have in that midfield.
So 5. He got football friends. He got a 5 off Jordan.
Late comeback here by Steve. It's 4-3.
Had a couple of good moments on the ball where he surged forward. We like a surge. And his involvement's always felt a little scrappy. He does seem to have made the position he does seem made for the position he was introduced to, though. I guess they got a 5. Next
I
up.
wonder what that sticky thing was on my back, Brad.
What's that?
You said late comeback, so I just made it.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I wasn't on that wavelength for that one. Sorry, Steve. Next time.
Sorry, Chris.
I still got it, actually. Let me just put this up. There you go. Right. Next up, Sumare.
Can't really rate him, though. He was only on for like the 7 minutes added on time, wasn't he?
Not even that. Yeah, I think you came on that 91st minute.
Don't come in unprepared, Brad.
Well, no, I'm not coming in unprepared. I can't give a rating for someone who wasn't really on the pitch to influence it.
Ramsey came on the 57th minute. Sumare came on the 86th. So we had 14 minutes. If you didn't think that he was involved, give him a low mark.
I'll give him a 4 then.
Give him a 4.
2 off his shirt number and give him a 4.
Steve?
There's 2 moments in that game where he came on. At one point, he gave the ball away quite needlessly. And then there was a bit towards the end of the game where he was in the box and he dribbled around a couple of players and had a shot. So overall, I think he was okay. Probably one of his better performances for Leicester, to be honest. So I give him a 5. Pretty average.
Got a 6 off Jordan.
Fucking hell, Jordan. You had one job, didn't you?
Got forward into the box and although got his cutbacks wrong and passed well, a solid substitute showing. Like we said earlier, if Daka had done what this guy did, he would have been hung, drawn and quarter. Hi, Fields, by the way. How you doing? Bradley.
Sorry. Is he with Josh? Is he busy with him? No.
He is.
Oh, well, Bradley's not here, so Brad, will give you a rating. Again, Daka would have been berated for that chance he had, but you see what he's trying to do. He hustled and bustled. He's still learning the English game. I'm gonna give him a 5 though, because that chance has killed anything higher for me as a rating.
Josh? I knew I was doing that.
I give him a 5 too. A 5 as well. I don't really think you can give him any higher than that. And if he'd have put that ball away, then it would have been higher. But overall, average.
Well, he'd be disappointed not to have taken his one-on-one late on. He did look a little bit rusty, but was at least regularly involved. He put himself about. Football friends. 5 off Jordan. Ooh. Now, I've got to say, in fairness, are we putting that miss down to, as I said on the watch-along, a bit of ring rustiness?
No, I think it was down to the fact that he had too much time to think what he was going to do. and at that point the keeper was on him, so he hit it straight at the keeper. I think instinctively, if he was starting 90 minutes, he probably would have hit that sort of as soon as he's in the box first time. But it happens.
It happens. Right. Stilko Thomas.
I knew he came on. After that, I can't rate him for that.
He came on. In fairness, he came on the 90th minute.
Yeah, and
this is what you would call a running the clock down substitution.
Yeah, I think so. I think sometimes managers want a player to come off to a round of applause, and not as an individual, not as a team. And whoever came off for him at that point probably deserved a bit of it. So
basically you can't score him. Yeah,
I can't score him.
Can you score him, Steve?
No, I can't. He got a free kick at one point in the game when he came on, but that I can't think of anything else that he did.
No. Ooh, football friends, nor could Jordan. So that was you both agreed with him there. Love it. And fine. I think that is finally, isn't it? Oh no. You got your wish, Brad.
Yeah, and sadly, I can't rate him again because he came on. Look, he stopped them getting a sneaky consolation. He did his job, what it was asked for. You know what? Just be different. I'll give him a 4, Chris. I'll give him a 4. Just be different.
So you're giving a 4 to somebody that came on in the 90th minute, but you couldn't rate the other guy that came on in the 90th.
Yeah, because I at least actually knew he came on. I didn't really know Thomas came on. I didn't even know he won a free kick.
I didn't even know Okoli came on.
See, we're at opposite ends. See.
Can I just say, when I was doing this early, because it was a bit of a different starting 11 and the subs were coming on in different order, I had to move some of the players around, and I had to check that he did actually come on the pitch because I don't remember him coming on either. Oh, so what are you giving him, Steve?
I can't do what Brad does. I've got to be realistic, and unfortunately, if you can't give Thomas a score, you can't give Okoli a score. I'm sorry, Brad, but
Well, the thing is, wise words, as Maldini once said, because Jordan agreed with you.
Yeah.
So.
I did that tactically. See, tactics, lads. Say, right. He tied us up.
Cifuentes probably, although we played so well, probably had his worst game last week because of the substitutions. This week he went back to being King Midas. Everything he touched turned to gold. He made the subs. There was logic behind the late subs as well. In terms of just making sure they didn't get a glimmer back into the game with the defensive substitutes. The starting lineup was right. There was no reason for any of them to have been dropped. And he gets an 8 from me. He was back to it was a blip on the Richter that 5 last time out. Steve.
The one thing I disagree with there, Brad, is I think he probably could have dropped Luke Thomas because I don't think the fact that he was terrible against Wrexham and he almost got sent off.
Was Christensen on the bench though? I didn't pay. I don't know if he was.
He might not have. I can't remember, but overall, I think Marty
was actually. No, I think he was on the bench.
Okay, so I think he was the only that you probably could have dropped from that game against Wrexham overall. But I think Marty did a decent job. I think 7 is fine.
7. You got me wondering now. I could. Should we have a Luke?
Of course, we'll have a Luke.
We'll have a Luke. Swansea, Leicester lineups. No, he wasn't on the bench.
So he couldn't.
No, because he wasn't too close. I remember now because of his injury.
Yeah,
they didn't want to try him again. Although Skip was on the bench.
Yeah, so he had no one to put on them.
All right, guys. Team rating.
I'm going to give it. I match it with the manager. It was an 8 performance.
Steve.
Because we controlled the game for 70 odd minutes, I'm going to give him a 7.
Now you see, I would give it less for this one than I did for the Wrexham game.
Well, you're on drugs then.
No, I'm just saying what Maldini told me. Hi, Scott. How you doing, mate? Right.
Chris, you must have not got Paolo Maldini. You must have got Pablo Escobar with that idea. That's why.
Yeah. I couldn't understand why he kept selling me baking powder. Anyway,
it's a mystery. He keeps giving it me. I keep putting it in the washing machine, and how many colours and wait for weeks.
When they come out of the washing machine, they hang themselves up, do they?
And fold themselves or put themselves away. Well, yeah.
Team performance 8 off Alan, who was at the match. I think I know who your man of the match is going to be, guys. Are we going with your high scores?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's got to be.
I must admit, I love Alan to bits, but he'd gone winks and six for 3 weeks on the trot, almost as long as we'd had draws. Man of the match was indeed Mr. James. And I don't think anybody would disagree with that. Excuse me. Right. We are there, I do believe, chaps and chapesses. Let me just see what we've got. Oh, yes, let's have a last quick look at the table. Look, third place, lost one game, scored 13, only conceded 8, 16 points. Rubbish season, though, isn't it, Steve?
Well, look, it looks a lot better now than it did last week, that's for sure, being in third and only 3 points off the top. I think now that we will have more of a settled side, we might push on a bit more this season. So hopefully that means that we take over Middlesbrough in the next game, and then we catch the weirdos at the top of the league.
Steve, genuine question for you. Did you by any chance get your microphone from the Leicester media side? Because you sound sometimes exactly like they do when they ask Marty questions. Because you get someone like, and then you get someone else like, hello, Marty, my name is...
Oh, no, I don't know what's going on. It's completely fine for when I was on with Jack on Thursday after you, Chris. And it just seems to be going up and down for you guys. I have no idea. No idea. It's, no idea.
Interestingly, guys, 16 points. If we get a 9-point deduction, will take us down to 7, and we would be in 20th place above Blackburn Rovers.
Yeah. That's the depressing
miles away off the playoffs again, so it'd be workable.
I mean, not the end of the world, is it? We've still got 4 teams below us, but we have got Derby on top of us, which isn't the best news.
And we've still got 37 games to go.
We have indeed, although we might only have 5 by the time they actually get around to giving us the points reduction. Coming up tonight at 9, the Championship Extra Time. We're looking back at the week's 2 sets of games and awarding some prizes out. Tomorrow, the Foxes debate show, and I think we're going to be talking about, is this our best starting lineup? Which was what we kind of touched on earlier. And then tomorrow night at 9 o'clock, for those of you that remember Show Waddy Waddy, Dave Bartram, who was the lead singer with said band and a big Leicester fan and a mate of mine, is coming on. He's not happy at what's going on behind the scenes at the King Power Stadium. He wants to come on and have a rant. And so we're going to let him tomorrow night, 9 o'clock. Gentlemen, I would say it's been a pleasure, but it hasn't. I've hated every bloody minute.
It was a pleasure for Jordan Blackwell.
Just quickly, I did meet Kate on Saturday for the first time. So it was nice to get a fellow Leicester Till I Die TV co-presenter, whatever we are at this point. It was nice meeting her for the first time.
It is. She's a lovely, lovely girl and knows her stuff as well. And doesn't give me half the bloody hassle that you two give me.
Because she's got her work hour to do it on. She hasn't got enough time on her hands like me.
I can just say, in the Football Friends Award, it's a draw. Brad has 6, Steve has 6.
Yeah, I'm happy to throw away a lead late on.
I think we're going to have to make that an actual award every week. Guys, have a good week off, and I will see you on 2 weeks on Monday. If you haven't shut me down by then, of course. Have a good one.
Cheers, guys.
Thanks very much. And everybody that's watching, remember, thank you if you've been on your favourite podcast platform. And like, subscribe, share, and do all that shit. It really does help. Thanks so much, everybody. And I will see you in about 46 minutes. Good night.
Thanks for watching. These videos are tremendous. You better like them too, or I'll be back.
This podcast is proud to be part of the TalkSport Fan Network. TalkSport. Powered by fans.
That will conclude this evening's entertainment.